The U.S. Navy is pressing new ships into duty. There's the nearly $13 billion USS Gerald R. Ford, a new class of aircraft carrier, which goes into service this spring, and the dramatic launch of the new USS Sioux City 2 weeks ago. Both claim to have the latest technology for the Navy's global presence of late in the Strait of Hormuz, in the Mideast, and increasingly in the South China Sea. But we noticed one thing that hasn't changed for a half century. Ships go to sea painted battleship gray. So we asked a few questions and met one man who introduced us to some ships of a different color.
As a young boy, I had a poster from World War I that hung in my bedroom, and it showed a destroyer coming to the rescue of a merchant ship. And the destroyer was painted orange and blue and all kinds of different colors, and I thought, this is so ridiculous. They would never paint ships like that.
But that's exactly what they did. Jim Bruns is the director of the National Museum of the U.S. Navy in Washington, D.C. He tells the story of the art of war. In order to evade the German U-boats, the U.S. and British navies took a page out of the sketchpads of Picasso and the Cubists, hiding their ships in plain sight with paint.
You can't disguise a ship on the high seas. It's impossible to disguise it. You know, you see it on the horizon. You'd be able to see it. It's giving off smoke. They're burning coal for many of these ships. You can't disguise them. You can't literally camouflage them. What you can do is distort them, and that's what the art and science of razzle-dazzle is all about, is tricking the eye.
The Brits called it dazzle, the Americans razzle-dazzle. On both sides of the Atlantic, the two navies transformed thousands of ships into floating works of art, like the RMS Olympic, a British luxury liner converted into a troop ship to transport Americans to the front lines.
You can clearly see the curve shape, which makes it look like it's in wave. Its stacks are painted so that the portion that would be greatest in the sun is now painted black.
And the USS West Mahomet.
By using vivid patterns and vivid colors, you break the image to a point where you don't know whether or not you're looking at the back, looking at the front, or how big the actual object is, because it's totally distorted.
The razzle-dazzled ships were stunning. One observer at the time called them a flock of seagoing Easter eggs.
Artistically, to me, they're phenomenally beautiful. Phosphorescent greens, vivid oranges, bright yellows, purples, reds, bold red, fire engine red, and it's almost like psychedelic art in the early 1900s. I would love to see this ship in honest-to-God color. So dramatic.
Razzle-dazzles arrived at a critical time for the war effort. By 1917, British morale was sinking as fast as its ships, with German U-boats torpedoing 1 out of every 4 vessels crossing the Atlantic.
This is a World War II era periscope, but you're basically limited to a viewing portal that's this big.
Facing zigzags and distorting colors, the U-boat captains struggled to target their torpedoes.
I mean, we know even from German statements that it was very hard to plan an attack on a razzle-dazzled vessel because you didn't know where the front was, you weren't sure where the back was, you weren't sure what angle it was sailing at, you weren't sure of its speed.
America escorted 18,000 vessels back and forth supporting the war effort.
We have just begun to fight. That is the slogan of the Navy of today.
The United States Navy never lost a vessel in convoy, and that was in part due to razzle-dazzle.
The National Museum of the U.S. Navy is open to the public. It's located in the middle of the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C., which is an active military installation, so there's an extra layer of security to go through. There are plans to relocate it to a more public place. Next week on Full Measure, we're going to have results of a shocking investigation into the cost of medical services and how it varies wildly from place to place, even sometimes within the same city. The difference can be thousands or even $10,000 for the exact same procedure. With more patients paying out of pocket, we'll show you why it makes sense to shop around, but we'll also reveal how difficult that can be. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Cheryl Atkinson. Until next time, we'll be searching for more stories that hold powers accountable.